We are currently live. Thank you once again for joining me, folks, and the wonderful and the one of a kind, Mistah Mahvel.
Hey, thanks for having me, Larry. I'm Mr. Larry King.
Well, thank you, sir, for joining. I'm glad that you've chosen this platform, as it were, to I guess kick off your world tour for the Indiegogo campaign for JUANPOOL.
Well, I said to myself, all right, so I'm about to have to start doing, the live chat, the promo circuit, and really get out there. And I said, where do I want to begin? Where is my favorite place to go on? And it was Mr. Larry King. Court must be held. Court must be held.
You're flattering me too much. My face is turning red. How I'm honored, but no, I'm glad to hear that you're. I support. Like I was, loved the fact that you said you were going to do something and you did it, and you weren't asking. You weren't asking for anybody to hipster welfare, as it were.
Right.
Up front, you did it, and you were showing progress. I wish more people would show progress on their books the way you do, like the way you've done. And there's people. Well, if you follow this person over here and this, that, whatever, you have to jump through these hoops. You were putting out here. This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing, and it's inspirational. It really
I,
is.
I can't imagine not constantly letting everybody know there's something coming. Uh, and I do it specifically because I I shit post a lot. I like to go on Twitter and I like to shit post, and it's how I build my following. It's how I get all the boys to the yard. Um, so I want to always make sure that people know I'm doing something too. I'm not just sitting around and growing my Twitter following or trying to build a YouTube following. I'm just keeping everyone constantly remembering that I'm here. And then every so often, you want to let them know, oh, but this is what I'm doing when I'm not being a dickhead on Twitter.
You're actually showing that you're actually doing something, and you're not just, hey, it's one thing, take something shit post. Hey, let's hey, what's ever going on popular now? Let's take the piss out of it. But you're actually building something. You're building, a creation. You're developing something into a, a story with a lot of character, which is, look at the surface, like, no, no, no. You got to look deeper, because if you look at this the surface, like, oh well, whatever, it's this. But then you look deeper, and there's something. There's heart there. There's character. There's
Yeah.
emotion.
I've always described it. See, on the surface, it's like a satire parody. And it actually works very well if you're just looking for comedy. Because I wrote it to be funny. It's not a roll around on the floor type of funny, but it's you will consistently do the throughout the entire read. But when you actually stop to get into what's happening in the story, it really is a socio-political breakdown of outrage culture, and its negative effects on people. And I purposely chose to portray what would be called an SJW type of person, JUANPOOL, so that it didn't end up being this bias. We're conservatives and you're beating us down. Politics should be nuanced, and that's where I wanted to kind of throw in. Hey, I'm talking about something that can hit anybody. This ain't a complaint from conservatives or centrists or moderate liberals. This is hey, I've noticed that anybody can get taken down. This is no good.
You're dealing with a topic that, to be fair, a lot of people, they would like, extremely blunt, but you're being very nuanced with it. Like you said, you're taking stuff that on face value, a a a bear, a Latino bear, his twink boyfriend, the color pink everywhere, everywhere. So if you're, or salmon, as they say, the color salmon. But taking these aspects and in other hands, in less qualified hands, you would have a garbage product. But I've read issue 1. Issue 2 is well, I've seen samples of issue 2. I've been lucky enough to view samples of issue 2. But in doing so, I'm seeing that you have improved even more so than issue 1. And it's in wonderful hands, folks. Wonderful hands. The hands of a magician, as it were.
I
But
try.
yeah, but that's the thing. You're nuanced. You actually have, you're out. You're in that. You could at any time, and we've talked about this in the past in other realms, as it were. We've talked about how if you wanted to, you could pull some kind of minority card. You could pull a minority card and get some minority cred because you're not a white guy. You're not Aryan white guy. You're not on some propaganda posters in World War II era Germany.
No, no, no. I
You
don't smirk at Native Americans.
No. Well, and even then, I mean, it's like yeah. You, a Vietnam vet, like unless them fridges were in Vietnam, yeah, right, that kind of thing. This guy looks like he crawled out of out of a fridge box, but
Yeah, no, he's
you know,
still on the Trail of Tears. I'm gonna stop before I get you astray.
no, I don't. It don't matter to me. I'm like, this. That's the thing. It's like once you have something of value they could take away from you, then you have something to lose. Me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Take my channel away. I'm like, I don't really use it that much to begin with. But no, it's like, but you're nuance. There is nuance about it, and you've risen above the aspect. And with Wanpool, your campaign, you're okay. Break it down for us. What's the deal with the campaign? I know you're going Indiegogo, and I think honestly, a lot of people, not only because I think Indiegogo takes less from the campaign, the percentage, got to take their cut. They got to make money. I get that, but not only that, but they don't Kickstarter. We all know Kickstarter has a political slant. It always has.
Right.
And there may have been the possibility that they would have the slant to benefit you, but why take that chance? And also, I think a lot of people, if you're going to put money towards a project, you'd rather go ahead and get that money out of your account now and then wait 30 days or 60 days or whatever. And then, like,
Exactly.
bills come up, something may come up. Oh, wait, what's this? That kind of thing. So, what's the deal with it? What are we getting with this campaign? It's premiering on the 1st.
It is dropping on March 1st.
Okay.
So in just a few days, less than a week. Um, Now, the way we set it up with the tiers and whatnot and the rewards, because mostly this can't, because one is already made. So it's not like, you know what I mean? You have to wait for one. It's going to be as soon as that campaign finishes, number one is going straight to print and then getting out there to people. They will be putting funds towards the production of part 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and be blunt. You're going to help me find a place to live by doing so. Because once I have a stable place, then I can get back to producing at the very rapid rate that I normally do. It's just really tough to produce when you're in between places and you're trying to fix your life and you're trying to do things all on your own. I learned the lesson. Pride can destroy you. You know what I mean? You will be a proud man in the streets with your pride and nothing else. So at this point, I'm going to take the advice of everyone and remember that I'm not asking you for something for nothing. You're literally investing in the production of more and more Wanpool. And that will be going right to print as soon as that's done. And the quicker I get it done, the quicker it goes to print. As far as things to get, we don't really want to go too far into the perks that we're offering, but one of the farther out ones would be potentially a official Wanpool related pinup from the artist behind the Rag series, Luigi. He will be doing a pinup towards that. So if you love his art, I fell in love with his rendition of Wanpool that he did, promotional stuff to remind people of that crossover happening later on in time. But as of right now, the first 100 backers will be receiving something special. The first 25 will get something a little extra. And the very first backer will be getting something very unique that doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, personally for me.
All right. I the keeping the mystique about it, keeping the mystery there. Also, the incentive to back early,
Yeah, get
which is
right
good.
away.
And mhm,
Get, you know what I mean? You want to get there right away. You want to make sure that you become part. I mean, I hate to sound like that, but you got to make sure you become part of history. Uh, because this is the first time, your Guampool will be offered in people's hands. The demand has been there. And one thing I can promise everyone, no variant covers. There aren't a million variants to
thank
get.
you.
There is there is one cover for part one. There is a cover for part two. There will be a cover for part three. And at the very end, when I make the complete trade of it all, I will probably splice all three of those into one solid design for the cover. And then maybe that one would get an exclusive variant just for that campaign and nothing else. But as far as the individual floppies, no. All the
Maybe
covers
reconsider the variant cover for the trade, but whatever. It's up to you, man. I'm
well, I
no,
mean, at that point,
I'm
it would
so
be
anti-variant. I'm so anti-variant. It's almost like even people I like when they do stuff like that. I'm like, please don't do that. It's like I'm not gonna tell them, hey, you do
right,
this,
right.
it's over. I'm cutting you off. But
Well,
it's
from
like,
from my point of view, who I've chosen, you know what I mean, who, if I could pull it off, it would be almost more for me fulfilling a dream of having.
at the end of that, if I know who you're talking about, and if you were able to get that done, I'd say forget a regular cover, just make that the cover. You know,
Well,
I
no,
was like,
because
no offense, dude. It's like I feel like a Kanye. No offense, but just
yeah,
let
no,
him do it.
I know it's one of those. I'm really against the official cover not matching the inside art. That's one of those things that kind of bothers me.
Or you could do this: have that cover, and at the bottom corner, so in the bottom left hand corner, have Juan peel back the page and go, "Ayos me" or something like that. So you had the original art, so it's it's tongue in cheek, but you're able to, or have it top right corner, like dog ear in it, like oh my god, look at this right here, and it's like like that right there, I could forgive that because that's I think that's appropriate enough for the character, and that's how I look at it. I mean, you're the creator, so you're the one stop shop. You're the apex comic predator, as it well in the comics world. That's a bad way to put it, but you know what I mean. You're the apex, in the flora fauna world, all that bull stuff. That right there, where you are doing everything. You're writing it, you're coloring it, you're lettering it, everything. You're doing everything, the art, everything. And that's to me, that is the pinnacle. So if you're able to get that variant cover done by that person, which I'd be like, damn dude, do it. If you can get it done. Even if even if you blow it up, like even if he does it, whatever. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Just
it would,
something.
like I said, that would be a dream fulfilled type of thing. And even then, I'm going to focus right now. My focus would be completing two so that I can hurry up and get that out to you guys. We're actually setting our goal at a very humble mark uh, because this isn't I want to run everyone's pockets. This is I have a very specific goal, which includes getting this physical copy out and getting myself to a place where I can produce better for the people that want to continue to see me make comics.
And see, in your situation, where in the past I would normally complain if somebody reaches the goal and then like start keeps shilling for stretch goals and all that kind of stuff. Your case, you should be able to do that. I won't complain. Everybody else is like, you made $100,000. Shut up. You blew through your goal of 25,000. Shut up. You made 100,000. You don't need any more. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
I'm not even looking anywhere near. I'm asking for a fraction
Yeah.
of that. You know what I mean? So anything I get after that will be appreciated. And at that point, it's going to be towards fulfilling cool perks to get people really good stuff in their hands. I'm not so much, I want to see people have a lot of stuff. So at the end of this campaign, they feel they got their money's worth. They got enough swag, enough merch that they're like, wow, man, this was worth it. Um, I don't want them to just have a book and a poster. I want to have stuff, you know what I mean? I want them to have stuff that when it's all said and done and the package comes in the mail, they're like, dude, yeah, I'm sticking with Mistah Mahvel and the Science Wizard label from here on in.
Yeah, so you're doing, you're doing it the right way. You're actually putting that incentive towards, well, why, because a lot of these books will come out, and it's like they'll throw a simple, oh wow, here's a little mini poster, or well, here's a variant cover. I'm like, whatever. Like that doesn't matter. It's like just give me some. You're making it a part of an event. You're making them, like you said, a part of history, and that right there is really important to engender someone to your cause or to the project, and to get them to enjoy it. And I think it's also to have it in your hands. Like, to me, I'm fine with digital. So, right price to digital. There's some people that like $7-8 for a digital comic. They're out of their damn minds. But if it's right price, no problem. But traditional paper, being able to hold that comic in your hands, to be able to like, hey, check this out, and you lend it to a friend, and they might want to jump on board as well. That's a possibility. You could kind of do that digitally, like, hey, here's a link, but it's not the same. And so you're moving from the digital world into the physical world, which is very similar to Juan's journey. It's in the first issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I, this is this is one of those comics that you realize it just kind of unites everybody for some reason. Everyone can get behind Juan. Juan's actually way more relatable than it seems on the surface. Because once you get past he obviously the way he looks, his lifestyle, and his personality, you realize we've all been caught in that moment where we were telling something that to us was the truth, and it just pissed everybody else off. We've all had to fight back from that moment. We've all had that time where we were unpersoned and then had to rebuild. And in the end, the weapon we used was our ability to mock our opponent. We are JUANPOOL. We are all this character already. There's not one person in this comic community on Twitter that cannot relate to JUANPOOL in one way or the other.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are aspects to JUANPOOL that, like I said, should not work. They should not work. I mean, you know, a cisgendered white male from the South. I should like anything that, like, like they're like, I should be flying the Confederate flag and driving around pickup truck with, all that kind of stuff. No, if it's a good comic, it's a good comic, and you make it relatable. I mean, there's people that you can write, you know, maybe it's partially because maybe of my reading tastes in comics, or maybe the fact that you actually wrote and created a character that anybody could latch onto. I really think anybody could. If there are people that are so stubborn and pigheaded going into it, they probably would, like, if they go into it wanting to hate it, they probably will. It's like those people that go to, they hate watch or hate buy stuff. I don't get those people. That makes no sense to me. But building you're building, after these 3 issues, the keys to the kingdom, everything's opened up to you. You can go any direction you want to, because this is, the journey of Juan. This is his origin story. This is the, any a lot of cases I'm like, I'm anti origin story, but in this case you got to have it to understand who he is, where he came from, and because without that context, it doesn't. I don't think the world will be as rich and be as vibrant as it could be.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, and actually, I'm hoping too, in part two, that people start to see what I was talking about as far as there are no random occurrences as far as appearances in the first part. You're going to start seeing the characters from one really getting fleshed. And we're finally going to see the radical nemesis on page.
Yes, you've been teasing that for a while now, and I'm
Yes,
looking forward to seeing the full-fledged, not just teases as it were, but full-fledged appearance.
she's full-fledged appearance. I can even say 100% guaranteed she debuts within the first 3 pages.
All right, I'm down with
So
that.
You know what I mean? Uh, she's good to go. She finally will debut. I think everyone's gonna love her. I've been working really hard since last summer to kind of tease, to just kind of establish her. The initial angle I took as far as promotion when I started producing part two was their friendship. And I've been selling their friendship and partnership basically as a driving point um, of part two. Because if we're following the hero's path, um, part one established his urgency. Uh, you know, if anyone was paying attention, this series so far, if you can tell, it has nothing to do with him becoming a hero. The main urgency is Badger Beige is missing, and he must find her. So the urgency has been set up. Now we're going to see his call to action. And that heavily involves the radical nemesis, as she is a defining person in his life and essential to him being a superhero later on.
And that right there, like I said, you're sowing the seeds of who he is going to become. And like without that happening, you just would not have the you know kind of the base to work with. I mean, you probably could do it, just like throw him in there, full costume, full hero persona, but without having, you have to do flashbacks, or you'd have to do long exposition dumps. Da, 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 da. This is why I'm here. This is what I do this. But I think you're going the right path, and the fact that you have already proven first issue's done. People could read that. People could go read that now.
And it
And
was nominated for indie comic of the year on Comic Central.
there you
Uh,
go.
Shameless plug.
There you go. And that ain't shameful. That's a hard earned. That's heavily earned. It's
Very
hard. It's
proud.
hard work.
Very
You're
proud of
getting.
that. I'm actually very, very proud of that.
You should be. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of people, they'll talk about, "Hey, I'm working on this project. I'm working on." You actually did it, and that's a lot of people say, "Well, what's the big deal about that?" Look how many projects have been talked about or already been crowdfunded, and all that. They're super successful, and nothing's shown up yet. And when it has, it's been, eh. But you actually did something. It's like you're a common man. You're a working class Joe. You know, you're the kind of guy that, not the 9 to 5 kind of ham and egger kind of guy, but you're not some highfalutin. I went to art school and I used to work for this. That you're one of us. You're one of
I'm
the
a
dregs. You're
oh,
one of the dregs of society, my friend.
I say it all the time. I'm a blue collar pro. I'm the working man. I have a regular job. I have a 40 plus hour a week job. And then when I'm done, I make comics. That's how the guys that established this is what they did. You know, they want to work and then they worked on their comic and they kept doing it until it got enough that they could get it published and then it became something. All you got to do is repeat that. Find your audience. Know the story you want to tell and tell it. If you're a writer, then goddamn write it. you know, and then go find an artist. If you got to save up 2 years to afford them, save up for 2 years to afford them.
Or learn how to draw, or try to draw, or use those get like if you most writers I know seem to use like iMac or Max or whatever. Just go ahead and get one of those programs. I think it's already built in those where you take a photo, the Sin City program, and turn like
Yeah.
photos into like very Frank Miller looking artwork. You know what? Just go out there and take a bunch of photos. Get family members to wear
I
costumes
mean,
or
that
something, and then
sounds cool. I
do
mean, that itself just sounds cool
do
as a
something.
whole concept.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, just do something. I mean, really, at the end of the day, Brian Bendis's Torso comic and his other one, Goldfish, are very. I don't know if he used those kind of programs. If it was really crude ones, like back in the late '90s, early 2000s. But that right there is that possibility where you could do. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's these writers like they they're failed artists. They want to be artists. Like that's why you have people that get to know artists. Like, okay, what do you like to draw? What do you want to do? coming to an artist like, I want you to do this, 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 and this is how much money I could pay you. I'm like, that money ain't enough. That money's barely enough for me to design one of your characters, let alone design 7 characters and the world and draw it, pencils and inks, and you want me to do colors and lettering too, and promo, and do promo materials and promote it. It's one thing to just do, hey, here's the promo materials. You go do your thing. You put some Google AdSense, whatever. I got to do the heavy lifting here, and like I don't even own this. I'm just getting paid a lump sum. I'm work for hire. You're out of your mind. But there are people that were like, well, I'm told I'm supposed to, basically eat crap. You got to eat crap. This is the industry. You got to do that. You got to work for exposure first, and then learn your lesson. No, you don't. You're taking that path of, damn it, I'm going to own what I create. I'm not going to let this happen. I'm not going to be used and abused by some rando who's like, oh, I'm a writer and here's my story. It's basically Spider-Man with a twist, that kind of stuff. It's like, no, I'm doing my own thing. You're putting your you're putting your money where your mouth is, or hopefully people will be putting money where your wallet is. There you go. In that case, for the campaign.
Yeah. And another thing that I encourage writers to do as well, it start small. Get the artist that you can afford, and don't jump into trying to panel a book. Start commissioning the concepts of your characters. Start getting something that you have enough built up by the time you have so you have your script, you got all your concepts, you got everything going, you bring it to then you bring it to who's going to work on the book. And if you have to, then break down the jobs. If you can afford a penciler at a certain price, afford an inker at a certain price, and afford a colorist at a certain price, by all means, do it that way. There's nothing wrong with, you got all the pencils and inks done, next year you look for a colorist.
And limit your scope. And that's the biggest thing. These people, they start out the gate, and it's with JUANPOOL, you're not saying, okay, this is going to be a 500-page epic. It's 3 issues. It's 3 issues. One's already done. The second one's in the process of being done. I know you got a few pages done. I know you don't want to say, putting how much you actually got done, but it's not, in the ether somewhere. It's in the process. In issue 3, that has not been worked on yet, but you're not, this isn't some idea that, well, now I got the money. Well, I'll sit around for a while and I'll thinking about it. I'll have somebody help me flesh out the idea. I'm like, if this is your idea, you had this idea for a long time, for years, supposedly, how about you actually go ahead and start working on it? Like you think you'd thought these things out if you've been with this character, this idea for years. JUANPOOL, I don't think that was the case with you, but is more of a spur of the moment thing, which honestly, a lot of the best ideas are like that. Sometimes you let ideas sit with you too long, they become stale. They become like almost like rigor mortis. It's a desiccated corpse. And JUANPOOL there's something very fluid for a big old fat man. Very fluid, like a graceful ballerina. Twinkle toes, as it were.
Twinkle toes. Well, yeah. I mean, this is also the issue where you're going to get to see more of his personality. Number one was very, you almost get the sense that he's rushed through everything. Not a rush job in production, but the story was very pushed. You know what I mean? I want to get the sense of all of this is happening suddenly to him. From page 1, where he's, very happily starting a live feed, to the very last page, page 25, where he now knows that his favorite hero is in fatal, fatal danger. 3 days passed.
Yeah, it's you get thrown right into the mix. This is not one of these slow burns. Oh wow, other people have probably taken what happens in the first issue and stretched it over like 3 or 4 issues.
Well, I want to say timeline wise, Journey of the Wand takes place maybe over the course of a week.
That's very fitting. That
You know,
works.
this happens very fast to JUANPOOL. This is from one day to the next, and I think that's the only way I could really see my story happening. That it was call to urgent, you know what I mean? Uh, urgency discovered. You got the call to have to go do something about it. Three is going to be the execution. But everyone can look forward to seeing a lot more fleshed out of JUANPOOL in part two, and you get to see more into his life and the person he is, along with his awesome, awesome, awesome personality.
Well, we already seen like glimpses of that with issue one, and I like the fact that when you're introducing a character, you're not putting, like a lot of people, they think, oh, the character, that's how they just how they look, and it may be but you actually delved into, I'm surprisingly, for just a brief amount of pages, like when Juan's in the hospital and Robbie shows up and everything, and there's like a character really doesn't shine until after interacting with other characters, whether they're friends, loved ones, lovers, what have you, and you built that in there in such a short period of time. You've shown more than most people do in multiple pages and most modern comics, and that's the story economy. You're putting, actual growth of character onto the page. It's not like one of these you have to wait over the just wait slow burn. You have to get piecemealed out character moments. No, you just boom, here you go. You gave it to the reader. Here you have had it on a plate, and there you go.
Well, I mean, I want I want everyone to feel satisfied by the end that they saw several stories take place over 3 issues. Um, Another character we're actually gonna finally see for the first time is Straight Arrow, the missing superhero.
I'm trying not to laugh. That I just love the name. The name's it's the right amount of dumb, but I love it.
um, he's
It's,
actually one of my favorite characters that I actually almost never talk about, uh, because I want that hype there. I
I
want
want to
you
say he has
know
a sidekick named Quiver. I want to say his is like this Quiver. His sidekick grabs him is like grab him by the leg like that. The barbarian style thing, and always got Quiver's got the shakes. It's like always got like a junkie. It's like don't leave me, Straight Arrow. No, no, don't leave me.
all I will say is that he is a parody of Batman.
Oh God, there you go. Straight Arrow, come with me,
So
Quiver. We
everyone
must
gets
take
to look
showers.
forward. Everyone gets to look forward to Mistah Mahvel's take on Batman.
Oh boy.
Uh, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot of good things in part two. Actually, that promo video that I just put up, uh, I that was the time lapse of the cover to Journey of the One part two. So everyone should definitely go check that out again.
The link
Um,
for your channel is in the description of this video right now,
Make
this
sure you
stream. So
give it
there
a
you go.
like and put a comment so that it spreads around more and quicker. That would be awesome. Uh, and you can check out the time lapse of me drawing the cover from scratch. I really like this new cover. It's a natural progression from the last cover, and it features the prominent characters from the last issue.
Well, with you actually, are you planning on doing any more like over the course of the campaign, like video updates as well as Oh, I have a feeling you'll be keeping, like keeping the word going. Because I know a lot of people because this is your first campaign, right? This is the first one you've ever done.
Campaign.
You're
This first campaign, and this is the first campaign from Stein Suiza Comics. I'll go ahead and shout them out too. On Twitter, you can follow Josh the Amazing Artist. He's building up this small label. I've worked with him a lot, and I actually want to say I approached him on this, on signing on board, simply because I work so much with him and what he's building that it made just so much sense um, to go ahead and ask him if I could be the flagship book. Um, and I want to say he did a backflip, and he said yes, 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 and it this is very much being brought to you from the hard work of what he's trying to build up. You know, the original idea of we need to create a label of the people for the people. So I'm actually very excited to be the very first artist on the Science Wizard label putting a book out.
Damn, that's good, man. And that right there, and Josh is in the chat. I've seen him pop up a couple times, so that's nice of him stopping by. If he's still here, or maybe listening but not able to reply. But this being the case, I think that you're going to do fine. We've learned in the past year has been an interesting year for crowdfunding campaigns. We've seen very successful ones. We've seen ones not just, a lot, not to me have delivered on time. I have a feeling you will, considering you have a proven track record as far as getting work done. That
Well, I mean,
third of it's done.
One ships as soon as everything's ready because it's done. I don't have to make one. I'm going to continue working on two. And as I get myself situated somewhere, my production will increase once again. Because I will be honest with folks, I am beat. You know what I mean? I am beat, and it's getting about time that I need to find a good, stable place where I can put my head in the same place every night and get my productivity back on. Because everything else in my life is really good. I work really hard, so I produce a good amount. Thank the Lord, my daughter's healthy. She's bright. She's smart. She's super strong, and I have bruises everywhere to prove it. So all I need to do is get that stability back so I can get that productivity back to 100%, and we can get part 2 out to you guys ASAP so I can get right on to part 3.
And there we go. I mean, it's a simple, I think, simple enough, goal. You're not looking for, like, oh, well, I'm gonna start this, no, I'm gonna start some revolution. I'm fighting this. No, help me get some stability to finish the comic that I've already started. Third of it's done. You can, once it's funded, you'll see that the first issue is going out to be printed. It'll arrive in your mailbox or on your doorstep, and we're going to see the completion of this 3-issue, origin of Juan sooner than later, which is going to be beautiful. And hopefully, is it going to be a 30-day or 60-day campaign? I know some Indiegogo campaigns.
That we have to get to Josh, because my head's foggy on that. I probably want to say 60, but I'll talk to him. Probably it might be a 30.
Okay.
But I don't want to make it a definite. So,
well, I think you can. I think you can do, if you start out 30. If we understand Indiegogo, and I'm very little, so Josh probably knows better than I. You can start out 30, and then if you want to, you can extend it to 60. But if you start out at 60, you can't shrink it to 30. So you have to wait either the whole 60, or you have to, either 30 then extend it, or 60 and you can't detract 30 days from it.
Because here's how I see it, and this ain't me being a dickhead. This is me speaking from the heart. If people can raise $100,000 fucking dollars for someone to get a lawyer after he's just raised $100,000 fucking on a book, you can give me a couple grand so that I can go to sleep on a bed in my own place. You know what I mean?
And that's right, man. Well, this is the comics right now, where it's comics at the end of the day, I think, should be about the comics and not some cultural war. That's my 2 cents on that. I'll leave it at that. But
my greatest success is not caring about that stuff. See, here's a very unpopular opinion, Mr. Larry King. We lost. Fucking deal with it. They own everything. Who are you going to complain to? Them?
They own Silicon Valley. They own all the social media.
If you boycott everything they have their fingers in, you have an empty, nothing life. That's it. You just got to wait for the next generation to come through and push them out. And that's it. But in the meantime, we can entertain ourselves with our own shit. In the meantime, we can push out our books. And if we're not constantly kicking hornet's nest, we just kind of walk on through.
Make that subversive content. You're making subversive content, but you're not doing it in a you're not doing it in an outrageous way.
Remember, for the first time since I created JUANPOOL, and it was just a couple days, but that was the first time anybody has ever actually called me out on JUANPOOL. And it was a very easily squashed situation because, simply put, well, I'm Hispanic, so I'm not being racist. I didn't push back against, I didn't abuse parody rights or anything. I worked within all the laws and what I'm allowed to do. You know, you can make a big fuss and then everybody notices you're in the room and you got to keep your hands to yourself. Or you could be a sneaky little fucking mouse and go grab all the cheese while no one's looking. I will be this sneaky mouse and go in and grab some goddamn cheese because I'm hungry.
Good way of putting it, man.
You know?
I mean, it really is. I mean, there are people that will,
And this isn't me calling anyone out either. I'm actually not even calling anyone out because, I mean, red-handed guilty, I watch this stuff. I'm entertained by this stuff, you know? So I won't be a hypocrite and say it needs to stop, it needs to go away. How dare you do this? It's just, it won't benefit me to add to it. You know, I found my niche. I'll take the piss out of something real quick on the internet when I see it, and then I'll go back to sharing free art. And that's me.
That's a good way to be, man, because you are who you are. You're not playing somebody else. That's just too draining. People that do, it's just like, like, who are you at the end of the day? Oh, I'm just a guy playing a character online. It's not, you're a LARPer. No, we don't want LARPers. LARPers aren't fun. They throw lightning bolts. That's not fun. You are who you say you are. You are what you do. And that's the thing about, I think that the honesty comes through in your art, comes through in your stories. And, I can't wait for the campaign to launch. It goes well. And then you're able, to continue doing this. And then after JUANPOOL, I know that's down the line, but I look forward to what happens after that, and then after that, and then after that.
Mr. Larry King, can I interrupt you for 2 seconds? I just need to use the men's room.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll hold
back in 2 seconds.
I'll hold down the fort. Anybody has any questions for for Troy while he's away, or anything along those lines? Send it to me in the chat. I'll go ahead or questions for me. What's my favorite color? Well, it's usually green and or black, because black is the color of night, and they're able to sneak around like a ninja. And green's the color of trees and beauty and wonder. Want me on while we wait? I don't know. I depend on what social media device you use, like where they're using. Well, we're probably going to wrap up in the next 10 minutes anyway. Wrap up before 10, Josh. But we probably could do another stream down the line.
Hey, Jack. Sorry about that.
Yes, you're back. Yeah, there you go. Josh is trying to horn in on your action. He's like, "Want me on while you wait?" So he's going to take your action.
I mean, he can come on right now. I mean, I'll stay on a little bit more.
Well, I can. Let me.
If you want to send him a link, feel free to. Why not?
Okay, You know what? I'll do that. Let's see. Josh, amazing animator. If I'm gonna have to find his Twitter. Search that up. Josh, there we go. Should be able to send him one. I will do that. I should be able to, no problem. Google Hangouts has gotten weird, and it used to tell me certain stuff, and then they've updated their YouTube's just, anybody that decides to make a career on YouTube, you're just asking for trouble. YouTube, the most recent demonetization thing, which I don't 100% agree with, but I understand it. I understand the guy, he wants to burn everything to the ground, basically, because he's upset. But you know, Twitter's kind of weird as well. But so is YouTube with the whole click hole stuff dealing with kids and bikinis, and that's not cool. So you know what? Demonetize that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've never even pretended to think I would ever make money from YouTube. That's why I don't post all that often. And
Mm-hmm.
that I just take my time so that I can give something good so that when it drops, everyone's happy. That seems to work pretty good.
Yeah, I do this for fun. At the end of the day, this is fun. I don't try to make this some big deal, like end all be all. I thought we got away from pundits. I thought we were supposed to make up your own mind, but now it's like, what? How do I feel about this movie, video game, or comic book? I must go to YouTube and find out how I must feel about this. I need a verdict on this comic. Is it good? Is it bad? It's like, make up your own damn mind. You're a human
See,
being.
I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. And I definitely 100%, I do still enjoy watching that kind of content. Um, but I feel like these days I also want a palate cleanse as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I totally
I'm
get
gonna
that.
want to watch like a couple different things because I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I like my bias confirmed. I'm guilty of that, like a lot of
Hey,
people.
we're all human, man. But here's
You
the
know?
thing: I am like people. I've been. And Josh, I sent you the link, so check your DMs. But yeah, oh, there we go. Josh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All right. Well, welcome to the stream.
Hey, thanks for having me.
With the bias stuff, with bias confirmation, it's like I've been accused of being a contrarian in the past because I don't. You know what? I don't like the Marvel movies anymore. I stopped liking them after Guardians of the Galaxy. I said, I'm done with this. This is formulaic crap. I'm done. Everybody else loves them. They make more and more money and this and that. I'm like, I like the DC movies more, kind of, sorta. At least they have better villains usually, But stuff like that. It's like, and the same thing with comics. I like this. Well, that comic's trash. I'm like, oh, well, whatever. I still like it. Oh my god, this
Hey,
comic's
like
great.
what you like.
Exactly. But not too many people actually have the similar opinion that I do. It's like people are like, oh my god, Temple of Doom sucks. I'm like, no, you suck. You don't know what you're talking about. Temple of Doom is amazing.
There is some nuance there, I think, though. I think there is some nuance there, though, because there are things that are objectively terrible, but you can still enjoy them, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who just loves the hell out of Batman v Superman, but he agrees with me that it's total trash.
Oh, it's a mess of a film. And same thing with Suicide Squad. I think I've watched Suicide Squad like a dozen times because it's like a car crash to me. Or the closest thing, and it's nowhere near as good as it because it doesn't have Raul Julia, but it's closer to Street Fighter the movie because it's that dumb.
Oh, great. Oh, great shitty movie.
It's like the day that M. Bison came to your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. I mean, that kind of stuff. Quick, change the channel. Like this stupidity of it, and like and Bison mocking a guy says, "You guess you didn't see that, did you?" Covering his eye. That kind of stuff. It's so dumb, and it's the same dumb stuff. But you know, we enjoy what we enjoy, and I think, Josh, would you taking up when you taking the mantle when you're, hoisting JUANPOOL up, for the masses, Science Wizard comics. I really think that which will hopefully be the beginning of a influx of potential books and properties coming your way, whether you've created them or maybe you and Troy, but doing something along those lines, I think it'll be kind of nice to see.
Well, we're going to have a busy year. I'll just say that because we've got, if you include JUANPOOL, we've got 5 books that are in the works, in some stage of development, and all of them at least have some character design finished and some writing as well. You want me to go over some of the details? What do you think?
If you want, yeah, feel free. Whatever you can share without,
Yeah.
without blowing up your spot.
Well, what we're going to do is when the JUANPOOL campaign launches on Indiegogo, we're also going to be launching the site for Science Wizard Comics. So it's going to be sciencewizardcomics.com. Bought and paid for domain, got all, like, been working on it pretty steadily as we've been working on the campaign. Campaign's done, campaign's ready to go. We just got to press go on that. So this week I'm going to be focusing on getting as much content as possible into the website. And after JUANPOOL, we're going to keep the momentum going. We've got, after JUANPOOL, immediately we're going to be getting to work on a pair of graphic novels, launching 2 separate series, but in the same story. So they're companion books, and it follows the same story, but from 2 different perspectives. A sort of cat and mouse chase across the universe, well, not the universe, the multiverse. And so that's going to be those two titles. They're going to launch together. And then after that, we've got Pineapple Pizza Man, which is another creator-owned book by Theron, written by Theron Kurth, and I'm actually going to be doing the art for that one.
That offends my sensibilities. I'm gonna have to boycott you. I'm gonna have to boycott that book.
JUANPOOL loves him.
See that right there? And I mean, I'm gonna have to reconsider. I'm like, should I kick Josh? No, but no, I would. But it's like,
well, see, that's why I love the Pineapple Pizza Man project so much, and why I got behind it and agreed to do the art. Well, no, because of the extremely polarizing view on pineapple on pizza, and not only that, but like, this isn't Hawaiian pizza, man. This isn't Canadian pizza with some Hawaiian as a topping on top of that. It's just pineapple.
Well, and that right there, that's the problem. I think, like, once you start putting fruit, and like, yes, somebody says, well, tomatoes, that's a fruit too, but you're not putting, like, this ain't some Whole Foods where you're taking tomato slices and putting them on a pizza. We ain't doing that garbage here. Like that, like, I've had like that semi-Italian style where they put big old chunks of mozzarella, like the thin, like it's like that it's sliced mozzarella, the globs of it on top of it.
Yeah, I don't like
that. That actually tastes pretty good if the base of it's good. If it actually got good spices underneath of it. Like the cheese by itself, I don't mind because it's mozzarella. But yes, you're doing touching the raw nerve of America. Or North America, as it were. It isn't about border walls or this, that. It's about pineapple on pizza and how much of that of abomination it is. That's controversial in our time.
Yeah, but when you get past the shock factor or the I hate it or I love it kind of initial reaction, then you're gonna find a fun story underneath it as well. And then so we've got all those. Probably that all of that is going to take up almost all of 2019 as we're just getting our feet wet. But then I have another book that I'm writing called Gatecrashers. And that one is sort of a love letter to the indie comics community. Each of the main characters is they're inspired by other titles that were instrumental in relighting the fire of creativity in me. Because before all this Comicsgate, all this indie comics boom started, I was in a rut creatively. I hadn't drawn in like a year or two. I've just been working and just doldrums, and it wasn't until all this happened and I started communicating with these people and seeing all these great projects coming along and seeing all this new stuff and this incredible boom of creativity that it really kind of lit a fire under me. And so this book, Gatecrashers, is my love letter to all of it, to everyone, to this entire community. And to a degree, the 2 companion books that Troy and I are going to be working on is also a bit of a love letter to the community as well, because we have a lot of people throughout the community that have contributed some designs towards that project to kind of like flesh out the world and really breathe some life into it. And we're gonna have a lot of really cool stuff that I think people are going to really get behind, and it's going to be just a ton of fun. We're having an insanely fun time creating all this stuff, so we're hoping that translates into the viewers and the readers having an insanely fun time reading it.
I can, with both of you, what your energy, your passion for the projects you're working on, that right there shows through, and that's important. There's a lot of people when they do these projects. Oh well, you know, I want this book to do good. I'm like, well, where are you? Where's your energy at? You don't love this book? I'm like, this book's better than that over there. I love what I do. Like, well, Larry, well, what do you think about your booking? I don't care if it. I love it. I think it's better than this. It came out. It actually did it. I actually did something. I didn't talk about it. I didn't do these streams. Well, it's coming out eventually, and it takes a while to work on a book. You don't understand, people. You can't rush quality. Okay,
Well,
it takes this kind of you actually get the thing done. You love what you do. You hype it up. You talk it up. You do it, and then
you should.
I feel like the Shia thing. Just do it.
Larry, you should see me and Mr. Mahvel here when we start on a brainstorming session. It's like two giddy schoolgirls talking about a crush that they have.
Yeah, it gets pretty insane. It can get really, really insane.
Yeah, we have these just we'll get on. We'll start Skyping or Discord or Hangout on just, we have to like talk about something real quick. We'll have like, hey, we got this thing to figure out on the Indiegogo campaign. Let's hash this out real quick. We'll hash it out in like 2 seconds, and then we'll spend the next 5 hours brainstorming ideas and setting up canon and stories for the next like 8 issues of a new series.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. Like when me and I think this is why he wanted to come to Science Wizard Comics when I started the label, was because he realized that there was like we just work well together. We really do.
It wasn't Candy and Puppies that brought him over.
No,
panel van. You didn't pull up in the Science Wizard Comics panel van and say,
"Oh,
hey,
I should get a Science Wizard Comics panel van."
You got the Canadian leaf on the back. It's like,
Well, hey, man.
We'll go see Niagara Falls.
I heard you're homeless. Eh? We got candy and hot chocolate in the back. Eh? You come with me, and we'll take you in. To take care of you.
Gotta get it back to Canada. It sounded very good.
And that's how I abducted Mistah Mahvel and brought him to Canada. Yeah.
Chain him to a radiator. Now draw some comics, eh? Oh my god! Oh my god!
Having flashbacks of the Grapist right now.
Oh dear God! But no, but that's the thing. Like the passion you two have, and I'm glad to hear that. I mean, you're getting your ducks in a row for a very interesting 2019, Josh.
Oh yeah, and Troy. I mean, he's instrumental. Like I always tell him I call him my chief creative officer.
Well, I mean, I know people have to have seen me teasing one of my newest characters, Erica Nilsson, aka The Offspring. It's gonna be a lot of fun. That book's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be trippy too.
It's gonna be really trippy. And yes, it's gonna be a great year. And I'm very hopeful that JUANPOOL Journey to Juan will be a very great omen of the things to come.
Well, considering how far it's come, how what it was born out of, and the fact that it rose above its humble nature, its humble beginnings, to be what it is today. And Troy, that right there, that's impressive, dude. You could have been just a one-off thing. You could have just done it and like whatever, moved on.
Hit it and quit it.
You did exactly. You could have hit it and quit it, my friend.
I ain't that kind of girl, all right?
He's a lady.
He's some low down, dirty sluts.
He's a lady.
You gotta get my father to like you.
This ain't some shotgun wedding. This is a long, lovely romance. This is courting. He courted Juan. This is dowry was involved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. Like, there's such a crazy history with how Science Wizard Comics got started, and I think people are really going to have a fun time even just learning about that. Honestly, like, it's so crazy. it started as it honestly started as a group collage project for the community, because people were just like, hey, like we just want to get together and do some drawing. Like let's just make something, be creative, you know, just a couple of randos on the internet. And then I got an idea, and then we started developing it. It grew too big to continue being just a Twitter DM conversation. It inspired me to create a label, inspired me to, you know, create a couple different series based off of that initial idea of mine. And yeah, I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just jump in both feet. Let's make this. Let's do it.
The first thing we say grew and everything. The only thing I could think of was Randy Marsh, and he's hopping around on his ball sack. He's like, "This is Science Wizard Comics." Hopping around a ball sack, smoking weed.
I mean, when it started out, I mean that's probably not too far off.
Oh my god! But this is the kind of stuff. I mean, I think, you know, in the past I've talked about how we have. And currently in this indie comics boom, as it were, the indie comics boom as far as crowdfunding books and stuff goes, it's more of, to me, it's about making the money. It isn't about making the comics. In this case, money needs to happen for the comics to get made, because the lifestyle needs to be improved. For Troy, we need to help a brother out.
Yeah, well, you know what? Community. And really the money is truly secondary for me. And when I first started this, when I first pitched the idea of doing a print run for Troy, initially I was just going to say, you know what, I just want to pay for a print run for JUANPOOL, and then we'll sell it on a you know, website store. And I was just like, I want to get you some potential capital. I want to get you in a place of your own. And like I hate seeing that there's this fucking talented guy who essentially living on the streets, you know, when he's got this huge community that could be helping him to, you know, get there. And I'm just like, you know, if we had a physical copy of this book, I think you could like sell enough to get you back on your feet. And you know, we mulled it over, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't like. He's a prideful guy. You know?
He's a humble guy, but with pride. And he has Troy, and I think he's the first one to admit this. You know, he has. You know, you have a code, and that code is good, but also is very. It makes things very tough. It's like, yes, where you could take advantage of certain situations, but you don't. While others they wouldn't hesitate. They jump at it. But Troy, you're a man of, you know, you have pride, you have a code, you have morals. And at the end of the day, sometimes having that means you miss out on a lot of, you know, mostly financial opportunities.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to do this, because you're right. He does have a code. He's a good man, and he deserves some measure of success. He deserves that stability. Right. And I said, like, let's do this.
Stop.
Hey, man, it's true. Okay, but I talked to some people. I got some advice, and you know, at the end of the day, it seemed to be that doing a proper IndieGogo was the right thing to do, was the right direction to take with this. So we've been working for the last month to get it all perfected, to figure out perks, to, you know, really nail it down so it's like a good professional operation right from day one. And that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make sure to get like a fucking fantastic product, some really cool, fun extras for people. Did you talk about the early backer extras yet?
I did.
Yeah, that's fucking cool, right?
Exactly. That is one of those things. A lot of people, you know, I mean, it's one thing. It's like, hey, I'm number, you know, whatever. Like, oh, I was number 7 back in this project, but you're actually given an incentive to, yeah, as soon as that thing goes live, you know, so before that thing goes live, be like at that starting gate, like Black Friday madness, except you don't get trampled. You're just hitting refresh.
Right, and we wanted people to feel like there was like value in being first. You know, you're gonna get something, and the very first person is gonna get something real special. Like I'm oh man, like I'm tempted to like I'm tempted to like just jump on it and be first as well, but I feel like that wouldn't be fair.
That would be cheating, Josh.
Because it's something
that
that I want. I don't cheat. Exactly. And that's why I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna wait a few minutes before I do my order. But
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not waiting long. I'm not waiting long.
I waited. I don't know how I got first. I don't know how this happened.
Oh, I
You know,
guess people were just not on the ball. Well, I'll have to take that. No, if I did end up being first, I would actually give it away to somebody deserving.
you'd auction it off for even bigger profits. You know, figure weight. Like, oh, this is going to the.
When I say give it away, I actually do mean give it away.
Give it away! Give it away! Give it away now!
I'm not the only one that thought that.
Yeah, I was like, that's something I think of. But no, it's like the idea of bringing it's one thing, just like, here's the project, back it please, spread the word, you know, thank you. Like, you know, you're actually, hey, you get in early, you get this, you get that kind of thing. You know, throwing them incentives in there, and that's the biggest thing about these projects. A lot of people, they don't put much effort into it. It's like, you know, and I'm, thank Christ, you know, there's no variant cover garbage. Oh, the variant cover. I'm like, I don't want a variant cover. I don't want a variant cover. I don't want that. I don't like that right there. Actually, will turn me off of wanting to back a project.
Yeah, actually, I'm with you there too, because I've backed about 32 projects within Comicsgate at this point, and no, actually, I think I'm up to almost 40 now, because I've done a few since then. My last count, I don't know, but like I've seen a few where like they have all these different variant covers, and I just get confused. I'm just like, well, I don't know what to do.
My thing is,
get this variant? Do I get that variant?
Just that's the thing. Focus on one cover, and if you want to have a one thing I wouldn't mind. It's like, hey, this could have been the cover. Put that in the back of the issue. You know, really, if you have multiple, if you have like, you know, pinups or potential, like, hey, this may have been a potential cover. Here are the pencils or inks for a cover that we might have used in the past. We may have used, but we didn't. Kind of like bonus material. Yeah, oh, here's some sketches, concept designs, whatever. Throw that in the back. But do not put that as like, well, for this extra $5 tier, you can get this variant cover. Like, no, just focus on the main project, the main book. Absolutely. This variant cover garbage. It's like, this is one of those things that should have died in the 90s. Like that, right? The variant cover thing. People like, well, people like variant covers. People are dumb. They're fucking dumb. And people that like, I know there's people, I really like them, and they buy variant covers. But part of me doesn't like that aspect of them. It's like, why do they got to do that? I like them, but I hate what they do right there. I don't want to tell them, are you a fucking simpleton? Were you kicked in the head as a child by a mule?
It's obvious collector bait.
Did you eat lead paint chips off the wall? What are you doing? You know, this is the kind of stuff. It's like, you know, was your mama drinking like Jack Daniels while you're in the womb? I mean, come out, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, it's collector bait garbage, and it adds nothing of value.
Here,
to me, it's just, you know, it's one of those things. It's fake crap.
No, I'll agree with you there. I absolutely agree. I like, there's just so much of the variant stuff, and I mean, it's just gotten absolutely out of hand in recent years, particularly with like the Fantastic Four. That
right there, that's bad. This upcoming War of the Realms Marvel thing, 27 plus variant covers. Recently,
they had 50 variants for Fantastic Four #1. 50.
Well, a lot of those were store variants, though. That's the thing. Like, a lot of people forgot that part.
Too much.
It's too much. But that's bad. You know what's worse? Dynamite. Because they do photo negative variants, where it's basically the cover, and they do photo negative. Whoever buys that should be put on a list, if not like turned into Soylent Green. Like, find that person, turn them into Soylent Green, because as a human being, they have no value because they're that dumb. But the other covers they would do is cosplay variant covers.
Oh, I hate cosplay.
And the worst,
variants.
and I know Troy, he makes his bread and butter, and he's got tattoos and piercing stuff. I don't like tattoos. I don't like piercings. None of that stuff. That's not me. Any women I'm interested in, I'm like, oh, I got this tattoo of Batman. You might like it. It's like, nope, that's an instant turn off. I like pristine. I like my women almost pristine. I mean, surgical scars don't bother me. Slice it make the arm look like a cheese grater. Now that's a whole other issue, but that's whatever. But like this idea of this. Maybe a 6 out of 10 with some like really crap tattoos. Oh, I'm Vampirella because I got a Vampirella onesie. Look at me, I'm a variant cover model. I'm like, you couldn't have got somebody better looking. You couldn't have got somebody better looking. Dynamite. Dynamite is one of those people. They got all these licenses, but if you look at the interior of their books, they stink. The only good thing they have is like if you see Matt Wagner writing it, at least it's going to be good, well written. Art-wise, not so much. Everything else is trash. Dynamite is a trash company. I don't care who knows it. Anybody associated with them, it's a trash fire. And their variants are the worst. They may not have as many, but their variants are the worst.
I'll take your word for it, man.
Oof, I need to calm down. Not a surgery fetish, Elias Bar. Elias Bar thinks of a surgery. No, it's that right there doesn't that right there. This is not something, hey, I want you to cut me open. It's like one of these things. It's like, hey, it happened. They had to do that to survive, I
gotta say, like one of the best things about the the indie comics community is how much opportunity there is. Not just for making money, but also like particularly for what I like about it is the opportunity to grow your craft. To get better as an artist, because there is a lot of opportunities. Like I'm working on the colors for a Jack Irons pinup right now for issue 2. And like I haven't been doing a lot of color work since college. So I mean, it's a great opportunity to get some practice in and build my repertoire before getting into the Pineapple Pizza Man comic. And there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of other people. I mean, you show do your art, show your art, get the word out that you are an artist, talk to people, get to know them. And then, shill like a villain and get a spot on a pinup, get a spot on as a colorist, as a penciler, as an inker, whatever it is. There is something for you if you can hustle. It's all about that hustle.
I mean, I'm proof.
Oh yeah.
I just got out there running. There was plenty of jobs to take.
Absolutely. And you're in high demand.
For as many, I mean, I gotta say, at one point I was attached to 7 projects at the same fucking time. So there's work out there. You just gotta improve, sell yourself for what you know what to do. And I don't even want to have to explain that. You know what the fuck I mean. Know what you can do. Know what you can give. Set your price right and just get it out there and start picking up jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's
what I'm talking about.
If you want to go that route. And that's the thing. A lot of people like me, I've done commission work. I do a lot of pinup stuff. I just, it's like that's the kind of thing. A lot of pinup, simple black and white stuff, some color. And I've done, I've very few story paint, like taking somebody else's story and then incorporating it, illustrating it. Because a lot of the problem is I'm dealing with people that they don't really know what they want. And so I have to, I hate revising stuff, especially if it's something I don't have no heart in. I don't have no stake in it. I'm not financially, except for the lump payment. That's all I have. It's like, well, that's that's commercial comics work for you. That kind of stuff. It's like, that's why I would never do it. Because if I don't have some kind of love for it, if I don't have some, hey, I do well with this. It's residuals from here on to eternity or whatever. If like this is something I worked on with the writer, it's we fleshed this out. Like they brought the idea to the table, but we made it something better. That's no problem. But it hasn't been that. It's been hey, here's money, do this. I'm like, okay, I could do that. And then it's like, hey, revise this, revise that, revise this, revise that. Well, your script said this. Well, I changed it. I'm like, don't tell me you changed it. Send me the revisions before I get to that. You know, I don't want to find like after I do work and then I have to find out I have to redraw half the page because you decided to do something different.
Yeah, you know, I understand that because I am working with other people now with Science Wizard Comics. We got this one guy working on an ash can for us for when we do the Help Becky Smash / Last Call campaign. That's the title of the two related graphic novels that Troy and I are going to be doing. And like, you know, sometimes like he just goes and finishes something without looking for the approvals, and I'm just like, there's some stuff to talk about. You know, you gotta talk. Or you know, or dealing with someone where you're like, okay, we need a design for this, and it needs to be this exact specific kind of criteria. And then they ignore the criteria and they just go off and do their own thing. You're just like, well, no, man, we talked about this. You know, you got to pay attention, and that's the trick with working with other people is you gotta have a way with talking to people. You gotta understand how to get what you need out of people without burning bridges, without being like harsh and too blunt with people. Sometimes there is the need for that. Sometimes you got to drop the hammer, and I've had to do that already. I've had to do that a couple times. But you know, ultimately, you got to do what's right for the comic. You got to do what's right for the brand. You got to do what's right for the project. And you know, I think as long as you have, you know, everything in mind that you need and want, and you've got a plan on how to get there, and you stick to it, you're gonna get there. And my motto for the last little while has been progress every day. You know, no matter what, if you only manage to get 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to work on something, if you only get like two lines on a page, it's progress every day.
That's a good way of being, though. If that's a problem, a lot of people, you know, one thing when I for many years now, I did mini comics. I still do them occasionally. I've upgraded, I guess you could say, quality of stories. I used to do like these 8-page mini comics. It's one sheet of computer paper folded in half, 8 pages, cover back cover, 6 story pages. And it'd be simple little stuff. Like one of them was based off the real deal. This I was working security at a hog processing facility. They would kill hogs, make them into bacon, sausage, and pork chops, all that stuff. So I stopped eating pork chops and, you know, mostly ham. I would eat bacon and sausage because it didn't remind me of pigs. I mean, I'd have to smell hog carcasses in the rendering. It's where they and also had to see the drums of the ligaments, where that's they boil the ligaments down, and that's what they turn into gel capsules, because it's made out of that ligaments and all that stuff. Cool. But there was a rooster that would wander around my little guardhouse, and it was weird because it's a rooster in a place where all these hogs are coming in to die. And when the rooster was near one of the trucks one day, he's like, "Oh, you got a little deputy going on, don't you?" He's like talking about the rooster, and it gave me an idea for a story. And so I sketched out this idea of this rooster and this truck. You know, this guy says the same thing. It actually basically looked like the guy in the story. And the rooster, one of the pigs in the truck it says like, "Help me," like asking the rooster for help. And the rooster's like, "No." And then the hog's like, "What?" And like the truck drives off to the slaughterhouse. And it's a simple little whatever. I used to do those things for years. Maybe sell a dozen a year max. I did them for fun. I did them for me. I did comics for me. And a lot of people, you know, that's not enough. You want to, you know, I want to be rich. I want to be like the Liefelds, the Lees, the Silvestris, the Todd McFarlanes. I think those days have kind of passed for the most part. And, you know, like getting by, that's one thing. But you got to have a love for comics. And if you don't have that love for comics, I'd say get out. If you're in here for like, if you don't love comics, like you got to, to me, I'm that much of a hardcore kind of person. It's like that. Well, there's a lot of people, you know, I'm not Comicsgate. I'm not really anti-Comicsgate. I'm not this, that, whatever. I am a tribe of one, as it were. I mean, there's people that buy my comics, but that's the thing. It's like because it's like I don't attach myself to something that can get corrupted. That's the way I look at it. I don't want, and I want to be able to. I want to speak for myself and only for myself. I don't want to speak for somebody else, whether they're alive or dead or whatever. I don't want to speak for somebody else. I don't want somebody else to speak for me. But we as a community of many voices, of many, I like the fact that we can. I'm like, speak. The greatest cure for the modern ale of what we call hate speech. Hate speech is more speech, not less, and is the greatest cure for bad comics is just comics. Because guess what? I may love Holy Terror, the Frank Miller comic that was supposed to be Batman Holy Terror, until DC's like, nix that. Nope. We can't do a comic book where a teenage Muslim girl uses a part of they basically attack Gotham City with nail bombs and kill a bunch of people, and then Batman goes into a mosque and kills everybody. We can't do that comic. But Frank Miller still did the comic, and they just whited out the ears and the bat symbol. It's so horrible, but I love it. And it's one of these things. It's something. It's like it's a car crash. It's one of those things. That right there, that's horrible. That's hate speech. I love chick tracks. They're garbage. They're I don't know if either you two know what chick tracks are. They're usually a Southern thing. It seems like Southern chick tracks. Jack T. Chick did these comic tracks. They were religious comics. They're like 22 pages. They're like between 2 and 1 panels, and they would have they're basically very ham-fisted religious metaphors.
Oh, okay.
And like one in particular was Dark Dungeons. And it's where if you play Dungeons and when it came out in the 80s, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, eventually if you get to a high enough level, they'll actually induct you into a witch's coven and you learn real magic.
Oh, that's...
But one girl in particular, she's playing this Dungeons and Dragons game, and her character dies, and so the coven leader tells like, your character's dead. You can't be with us anymore. You're dead. And so the girl goes and kills herself. And so they decide to burn all the Dungeons and Dragons, Dark Dungeon stuff. They start going and burn all that because it's satanic propaganda.
The good old satanic panic of the 90s.
Here's the thing: Canada banned it in the 80s. All the chick tracks. See, technically they're illegal. I couldn't even, if I wanted to send you one, I couldn't. Josh, they be confiscated at the border. Yeah,
that's crazy.
I don't think every single one. I'm pretty sure most of them are, because there's like some of them. It's at the real, because you don't have freedom of speech up there. You don't have the First Amendment, but it's like certain ones. Like if I wanted to send you one about like
rub it in, why don't you?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. But the story
that makes me sad. Don't say that stuff. That makes me that makes me sad. I hate hearing stuff like that.
Hearing stuff like what? That there's freedom of speech?
Yeah, like I don't like the Canadians don't have freedom of speech.
Canadians, they had the human rights abuse thing where that comedian that insulted a lesbian, and he got sued and like dragged before it was a civil rights or human rights court or something like that. It's like Canada's really weird. It's like Canada can afford to be weird. It's like that weird. It's like the cousin that lives above your garage. It can afford to be weird because it doesn't really pay rent. It doesn't have to have really a military because the U.S. protects them. It's one of those things like you can afford to have socialized healthcare. So what if you have to wait in a line for a week? You've stabbed yourself accidentally in the kitchen. I'll just wait in line for a week. You'll get around to it because we go by first come first serve, unless you got the premium pass. But. It's something like that, whatever. And also you got 30 million compared to our 300 plus, not including non-documented people in the United States. But that's neither here nor there. We're getting off topic. But
getting back on topic, do you want to see what we got coming to the early backers?
Yes, let's see that.
Oh, and real quick, Josh, how long is this campaign?
Oh, I said that earlier in the chat there. I said it's going to be 30 days, but under the right circumstances, we will extend. And once it's finished, we're going to keep it open as a in-demand store until the second book is done. And then as soon as the second book is done, we're shutting it down.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, if you want to share that, if you want to share whatever you want to share via the screen,
All
you should be
right.
that.
I just got to turn my camera on. Am
All
I
right.
on? How am I? Am I on? What's going on?
Uh,
Okay, there's my
I don't
camera.
think you're on. I don't think you're on yet.
Here we go. Is it on now? Why is I don't know why my camera. Oh, you know what it is? I gotta unplug it and plug it back in again. I'll be right back.
Okay. Are you having trouble? Try unplugging it and plugging it back in.
I mean,
Go to
hey,
Pancake Palace.
if it works, it works. Let's see. I just gotta find. There it is. It should be good now. Hey,
There you go.
All right, so
Hey.
what we got, and this was actually inspired by the Blue Mamba campaign, so I gotta shout them out for that because they were the ones that gave us this idea. So what we're doing is the first 100 backers are gonna get this fantastic JUANPOOL pink poker chip.
I thought that was a pog at first. I was like, oh my god, you're bringing the 90s back.
No, these are nice though. These are
Man, now I
nice.
have to find a way to get pogs. Now I must make JUANPOOL pogs.
Absolutely. But yeah, the first 100 are going to get that JUANPOOL poker chip, and the first 25 are going to get the much more rare. There's only 25. We didn't make any more. It's just 25. The Robbie poker chip. That's going to be the first 25. And then the very first backer is going to be getting a little special something that we're not going to be revealing until the day before launch. So you gotta pay attention.
Sounds good. Lizbar in the chat says clean your room. It's a mess. And I thought he was going to say something on the lines of you need to slay the dragon.
All right, I'll turn that camera off.
See, Lizabar is a bully. Lizabar, why do you gotta be such a bully, man? This is a bully-free zone.
You weirdo clean freak.
I think Lizabar is like Lizabar, I'm not mistaken, is in the Midwest, and the Midwest breeds a lot of serial killers. I'm not saying Lizabar is a serial killer, but considering, I mean, you know, like in the area of Wisconsin alone, you've had like Ted Bundy, you had Ed Gein, and Ed Gein made like lamp shades out of human skin, and like, you know, Buffalo Bill. Lizabar's got sad face now. Don't you be sad? Like he's like, now I can't make my Josh suit.
No, I think Kira's got dibs on that. That's my girlfriend.
Ooh.
There you go. Oh no, the patriarchy. Oh my god, no.
Patriarchy. we joke about that all the time. Like me and her. Oh my god, we have a riot at the expense of these social justice types.
Well, I think that right there. Well, you're kind of in a haven, in a nation of it. It's like, hey, even though our people are suffering, let's import some more people that have no skills and don't know the language and are not a part of the culture. Well, even though while we have people here that are already not assimilating, so yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, it's how we survive mentally.
No country does that.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing I think of is like, hey, we need servants, we need serfs, we need peasant class. We don't need educated people. We need people that do what we say.
Yeah, no, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
At least we have JUANPOOL.
At least we have JUANPOOL, and so much more. We've got Jack Irons, we've got Ferryman, we've got we got Rags, we've got My Hero Macadamia and Trump Space Force. We've got Jawbreakers. We've got so much. We've got so much. It's amazing. It is like the Wild West of comic books. It's fantastic.
We have Red, a Cyberpunk Fairy Tale Volume 2 coming soon from Daniel Velez. Volume 1 is available currently. We have my line of comics, of course. My mini comics that are handmade with love in a do-it-yourself fashion and a can-do attitude, made in America, not printed in China or Leafland or America's hats, as it were. We should invade. And Why is there a chest vagina on the screen? Josh.
I was wondering when you were going to notice that. This is the Jack Irons pinup that I'm working on. I'm doing the colors. Just wanted to tease that a little bit.
I'm kind of horrified. I'm kind of horrified, slightly intrigued. So there you go.
It's like a Sarlacc pit in his chest.
Yeah, I would say I would say it's very Cronenbergian, which he was Canadian too, so that maybe explains it. Some Canadians are some weird folks. It's the Long Live the New Flesh chest vagina from Videodrome, but with teeth. The very hungry version of that.
I still haven't seen that movie.
That's actually really good. It's one of those. It's one of those films. Like it's influenced a lot of my projects. I will say Cronenberg. Like somebody says, why is your stuff so twisted? Like, I don't mean it to be this way. It just ends up this way. I think I've watched.
It just happened.
It does. It does. It's like, why does your stuff get so violent? Like, I've intended stuff. Like, I'm trying to make it all ages, and then here comes decapitation with the gore of like viscera stretching between two body parts. Like, I was supposed to do a simple, a knight goes into the woods to defeat a witch. It was supposed to be simple, 4-page story. I end it with the witch getting split in half, and you could see her ribs, the lungs, the brain, part of her tongue, eyes, where it looks like, you know, it's a body cut in half, but with the blood and the viscera stretching between the two halves as it's splitting open. I'm like, what is wrong with you, Larry? And like, I could have just done it cartoony and left it like the original Vampire Hunter D. Very simple design. It's very cartoony. It's not very detailed. It isn't like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust by Yoshiaki Kawajiri. But I could have done something simple. Maybe show her get cut in half. You shift it a little bit, and then you just allude to the fact that she got cut in half and she's dead. I'm like, nah, I'll just draw her split in half with all the gore displayed for the world.
So I just got something in today. Would you guys like to see a sneak peek of a brand new character design for one of our upcoming comics?
Let's see it.
All right. There you go.
All right.
That's one of our characters from Gate Crashers. Probably might not see it this year. Definitely see it next year.
Very nice.
That's a character, Luna.
Very nice.
And so we got looking forward to that. If not this year, possibly next year. Definitely next year. But potentially this year, if everything.
Potentially late this year. Definitely early next year.
All right.
100%.
That's doable. That sounds very doable.
Yeah, we got.
And that's one of those things. With both of you actually having, multiple irons in the fire, you're not resting. This was one of these. Well, I don't want to stress myself out, so I gotta this. Like you guys are hammering it down, and that's the biggest thing right there. You're not letting it, get lazy about it.
Nah, man, you gotta strike when the iron's hot. That's one of the reasons too. I'm finally gonna. That's why the print run on JUANPOOL felt so right.
Yeah,
I felt like I gained the good the blessing of everybody in the community. I've been really reaching out and trying to once again reestablish that good friendship with everyone. I built quite a following into the shitpost agenda. And it was just one of those, like, it's time to get it out there. It's time to get everybody this book. Time to, almost even take that rite of passage. Let's do the Indiegogo. All right, you guys like Indiegogo. I'll give you an Indiegogo.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Indiegogo too. It's actually been a really good.
And there's no problem with it. And that's pretty much where I'm coming from at this point. That all right, then let's do that. If that's what you guys really want to see, I'm down. I'll do that.
Yeah. I'm like a clown in Chinatown, Charlie Brown.
Right.
There you go. And are you doing work right now, Josh? Are you doing work?
Yes. What do you expect?
I kind of am too.
What do you think of this? This is not some. This is not some. I'm gonna make you draw from my ad revenue or watch time. I'm gonna make you dance, artist, dance. You.
As my Lord and Savior DMX would say, "You think this is a game?"
There's a lot more. I'm glad you said that. When you said DMX, like, where's this going? Where is this going, Josh? I know you're Canadian and you can say certain things because you can. There's not the risk of somebody taking it and then knocking your teeth out. So I'm just saying. But whatever.
I'm safe.
Yeah, you're safe. Yeah, you're safe. You got the. It's like you're behind home plate, and the home plate is a ice wall that is Canada, but the Canadian border. But I think it's been we've gone like 40 minutes, maybe like 40 minutes over. Like we'll figure about stop. So I'll go ahead and end it right here, folks. So thank you for stopping by, Josh.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
And jumping in after the fact, reaching out, and of course Troy with JUANPOOL coming to Indiegogo in just a few days' time. We're talking 3 days and some change, like 3 days and a couple hours. Actually, less than that. 2 days and less than 72 hours at this point.
Pretty much.
Wow, time-wise, it's so flying by. But thank you again for coming on, and this has been an interesting holding court for sure. Thank you those jumped in the chat. I appreciate it. And as Lazbar says, Larry gonna give it to you. Doesn't say what. Hopefully it's a good, entertaining live stream that you will return to once again in the future, whenever that is. And until next time, folks, good night and good luck. And JUANPOOL is coming.
Got